Welcome to VR Unpacked, where we explore the immersive world of augmented and virtual realities. I'm Rich Pasqua, and joining us today is Justin Milello, founder and CEO of Mona, the first dedicated marketplace for the creation, discovery, and purchasing of 3D assets designed for interactive experiences across the metaverse. Welcome, Justin.
Hey, Richard. Thanks for having me here. Really excited to be chatting with you today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you and learn more about Mona and the world of VR and the metaverse and what you're up to. And Justin, in the world of VR, you have quite an impressive background. You studied at SVA, which is right in my backyard here in New York City, which is awesome, great school. And in the early days, you started as a 3D artist. You worked with some of the biggest animated franchises for DreamWorks, which is pretty amazing. You worked with Magic Leap, a brand, a company, a product that I've been following for quite some time now and still very, very excited about. You started your own creative agencies, and now you are the founder of Mona. Quite an impressive background and career evolution. And you've partnered with some pretty amazing brands and companies over the years. So kudos. And now you're heading up Mona. Now, one of the things we like to do, Justin, here is we like to understand, the genesis of people's journey. So how did you get started in 3D, VR?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that intro as well. I would say, how did I get started in 3D and VR? Ever since I was a kid, I was always fascinated by art and animated film. I've been drawing and painting for as long as I can remember. So I've always had a creative background. And I would say for VR, my first introduction to virtual reality was actually at Walt Disney World at Disney Quest. I'm not sure if you remember this, but back in like the 90s, my family would always take these summer vacations down to Disney World. And they had this place called Disney Quest where they had all of the futuristic, like cutting edge technology on display, using Disney IP, obviously. But they actually had a virtual reality experience there. And I was really blown away by it. It was one of these things where you like step onto this like little stage and you lower this headset on. And I think you had like a virtual sword and you had to like, beat away bad guys and robots or something. That was a really captivating thing. And it's something that has, stuck with me. I think I was probably like 5 years old when I experienced that. And so, but yeah, I didn't come back to the world of VR until around 2016. So fast forward a bit, as you mentioned, I went to the School of Visual Arts for computer animation and visual effects. And really the impetus for me studying animation and visual effects was because I wanted to work in film. And for me, a personal motivator has always been to help humanity in some way, to help people. And I always saw film, particularly animated filmmaking, as a really beautiful way to help to inspire and motivate and influence people and give them, an opportunity to appreciate the beauty of life and also just to help them, even escape from everyday life if they wanted to. And so that's what really led me to want to study art and animation and visual effects. Shortly after, I went to DreamWorks Animation to study film. I was there for about 3 years and realized that I wanted to work on kind of like the next generation of storytelling and kind of what that new medium was going to look like. And so around this time, Oculus, their first and second dev kits were coming out. This was around like 2016 when the second dev kit came out. And I started getting more down the path of discovering what virtual reality was now in, modern day, not just what it was back when I was at Disney World. And I also at this time discovered another company called Magic Leap, which was an AR company or, augmented reality or mixed reality, as many people also call it. And that's what really got me fascinated and captivated, not just the idea of fully immersing yourself in virtual worlds, but also, this concept of how we can start to blend digital experiences with the world around us in a really seamless way that feels very lifelike. And so, around 2016, that's when I actually applied and got a position at Magic Leap to jump headfirst into this world of VR and AR. So by way of, being a kid in Walt Disney World, discovering VR, and then coming back to it years later when I was choosing a career for myself, I eventually VR found its way back to me.
Yeah, interesting pedigree there, and journey with some really amazing playgrounds. Actually, Magic Leap and film and everything else that goes with it. That's an amazing playground to kind of start your career or push your career through. And it's interesting you bring it up that you were so young when you had your first experience in the early 90s with VR. And so did I, like early to mid 90s. um, you know, I created a bookstore with a friend of mine. I was working
Oh,
with
no way.
Bertelsmann. Yeah, we created this bookstore just for
Amazing.
giggles, just to say, hey, this stuff is coming.
Amazing.
Just to really see if we could actually do it. And it worked. You could pick a book up off the shelf. You can read a couple pages. It wasn't really that immersive at that time. It was more like Polygon World. But really, the point I'm getting at here is that VR has been around for a very long time. It's like the electric car, right? People are like, ooh,
Right.
Teslas. It's like, well, the first actual car was electric, the first car. So people really, they don't understand the history of it sometimes. And they see it as this new bright shiny object, but has been in development, both software and hardware, for many years. So that is a great journey, and again, really great stepping stones for you in this world that will only lead to the benefit of Mona for sure. Now, can you give us a little bit of we're going to peel back the layers, but can you give us an overview of Mona and what we can expect?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. At Mona, our mission is simply to accelerate the growth of the open metaverse through the development of tools and protocols built on blockchain rails. Mona really exists to be this foundational substrate of blockchain enhanced XR future, facilitating seamless interoperability of assets across multiple platforms. And really at the core of everything we do comes back to what, my original motivation has been, which is, we're passionate about making the metaverse more interoperable, connected, user-centric, and really ultimately a place where humanity can thrive. At Mona, we view the metaverse simply as this next evolution of the internet, one that is more immersive, comprised of a vast number, a limitless number really, of immersive, vibrant virtual worlds that can all be seamlessly connected together, and really a rich social experience. And so it needs to be a place that humanity can really succeed. So some of the things that we can look forward to that Mona is working on. We are addressing some really key challenges, I would say, when you think about the metaverse. And in this notion of interoperability, I would say like today, the number one challenge really is around interoperability. I think today you have like a number of platforms that have emerged where they are so-called walled gardens, and so Mona really is breaking down these barriers and solving this issue of interoperability and the seamless transfer of assets across different platforms. We're also seeking to elevate 3D creators and developers and finding ways that these interoperable assets can accrue more value across different platforms. And really, at the core of what we're doing starts with creators and developers and how we can empower these amazing individuals to help us start to build this open metaverse. And the last point I'll make is, to date, Mona was founded in 2021, so this is about our third year here. And, to this point, we're really, really thrilled that we have thousands of creators on the platform already who are building, thousands of immersive worlds and interoperable avatars and objects. And it's all web accessible today. So if you want to experience Mona, you just head to monaverse.com. And you can jump into any number of the worlds with your friends in a multiplayer experience with chat, voice chat, text chat, and some fun games as well. And so we're really leading the charge in this interoperable open metaverse future. We're really thrilled for it.
Yeah, awesome points in there. And you, in that description there, you kind of personified what I've been saying for many years. And when people ask, what is the metaverse and what is this world, 3D internet, all this, it is to me exactly the way you explained it. It's interoperability. So if you build a world, great. You'll get a handful of people that come and you're locked into that bubble. To me, the metaverse really is the connected tissue between worlds and
Yep.
galaxies
Yep.
and
Exactly.
universes. So the idea to jump around is one thing. Then to your other point, Justin, the idea of being able to take your assets with you, right?
Yeah.
Travel from world to world, perhaps trade your jacket, your shoes, your new kicks,
Yeah.
um, trade monies, services, whatever it may be. That's to me kind of encompasses everything about the metaverse. And you
Yep.
also you also brought up the idea of community, which is a big Web3 blockchain topic for me and for many others, obviously, because you need a village. You need a lot of people to really contribute.
Yep.
But once you build in those kind of monetary, mechanisms or payment mechanisms, people feel really comfortable and they want to keep contributing because there's something in it for them. So I think, community is a big deal. And one of the other
Definitely.
things for our viewers and listeners to understand, Justin is in his Apple Vision Pro. I didn't even say that in the
I
beginning.
know. We didn't even mention it. I just realized, oh, I wonder if people will will realize.
Like, hey, what's wrong with Justin? Um,
He looks like an avatar.
and all kidding aside, just so people understand, Justin and I have tested this out and it works like literally out of the box seamlessly.
Yeah.
Great video quality and really good audio quality. Just a little side note.
Yeah.
And while we're on the topic of Apple Vision Pro, which seems to be on the top of everyone's minds these days, is Mona is the first platform to build for the Apple Vision Pro, technically, right?
Well, we are, I believe, the first blockchain-based metaverse platform that is building for Apple Vision Pro. We're really excited for it. Very soon, you'll be able to actually see and interact with digital assets that are tokenized on chain, and across multiple chains. But we're really, really thrilled to bring the Monaverse experience to Apple Vision Pro. As everyone can see here, even down to the Apple personas they create for people, it's just of amazing quality. The hardware itself is best in class, and the experience is just really remarkable. And so we're finding that it is going to be the best way for users to interact with 3D digital assets that they own. And we're so thrilled to bring this experience to folks very soon here with Apple Vision Pro.
And to be clear, and from my edification, I had Michael Gold on a few weeks ago, VR expert, and he's developing for this world in much a very similar fashion to what you're doing as far as 3D assets and objects that you can kind of manipulate and check out in VR. Um, and it's not really true VR just yet, but it is your um, browser-based experience, correct? In the Apple Vision Pro.
Well, yeah, what's really great about Apple Vision Pro is that you have a choice between both virtual reality and I'll call it augmented reality or
Yeah.
mixed reality. I think Apple is choosing to opt for the term spatial computing to describe everything, which I think is really smart and makes sense and is a term that we were actually using at Magic Leap as well years ago. Because it's not just VR, it's not just AR, but it really is an entire new paradigm for interacting with an operating system, interacting with a computer, and it is a fundamental shift in this entire user experience that we've all grown used to. And so for us, yeah, you do get both. So you can actually immerse yourself in a fully immersive world, on the Apple Vision Pro. But what I think the device actually excels at the most is just the way it can seamlessly integrate 3D assets and content with the world around you. So, it uses a technology called pass-through where you can actually view the real world, through these very impressive set of cameras and really high resolution screens, embedded in the device. And that essentially lets you place screens in your world through the Mona app. You'll actually be able to interact with the 3D assets you own and decorate your space, and do fun things with it, invite your friends, etc. But it is a really, really remarkable headset for anyone who wants to start to experience what the future of interacting with 3D assets in the real world is going to look and feel like. It's really, really impressive. But you can do both, which is really great.
Mm. Yeah, and I have another question for you, Justin. Now, will this be a in the Apple Vision Pro ecosystem? Will it be a standalone application running in the background, or is it a destination we go to?
That's a great question. So it's actually going to be both. There are going to be two types of experiences. We are very excited about web accessibility overall, and I think we really view the future of the metaverse being web-based, and one that is really permissionless and accessible by everyone, and not needing to download specific apps and being able to just access virtual worlds just like you would any web page. And so we will actually have we'll have a web experience that's accessible via the device. And then for something that's a little bit more custom, different types of interactions and interactivity, we will also have a standalone app that you can download, and it can be a destination, and it can also run in the background of other things that you're doing as well.
Fantastic. And I do have to bring up for our viewers and listeners, the first time, Justin and I were interacting and we're trading links and, okay, let me check out Monaverse and go to it. And you guys know I check out a lot of different software, hardware, and experiences before, pre, post, and during conversations with people. And I check out a lot of VR platforms. The one thing that I absolutely love, anyone who does it, and Mona definitely, you guys definitely do it, is when I hit your website, I can jump right in. No ifs, ands, or buts, no plugins, no nothing. I just jump in and I can experience it. Really nice. And to me, that's like the pinnacle of adoption. Get me in right away. It might not have all the bells and whistles just yet, but I'm at least experiencing it, and you're allowing me to dream about possibilities. So thumbs up to that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I think right now would be an awesome time to maybe just check out one of your worlds. If you could share your screen. Got it.
Wonderful. Okay, so this is the Mona website. So Rich, as you were saying, straight from the web browser at monaverse.com, you can just jump right in and start to explore any of the immersive spaces. We feature several of them right on the homepage, some of the most visited. And up at the header, you'll notice we actually are advertising our Tom Sachs Rocket Factory partnership, which I think we're going to talk about in a little bit as well. Actually, if you'd like, we can jump into one of those spaces. That might be a good starting point.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So let's see. So if you click through, basically Tom Sachs, Tom Sachs created 1,000 unique worlds. So again, I have to say these things. It blows me away. Tom Sachs actually created 1,000 unique planets that are all available to explore all through the web browser, and they're all ownable. Each planet is a one-of-one unique NFT. They're all unique. No two are alike. In addition to this, they also created over 6,000 space station apartments. So these are all additions. So they're not all unique, although there are some variations here. In addition to launching 3D objects as stuff and even some avatars as well. So we can explore all those things. But let's start with some of the planets that they launched. And just so everyone knows, this is just one of the many projects that are built on Mona. Again, if you go through the homepage, you see a number of really incredible spaces. All of these are user generated. These are all built by the amazing creators and developers in our community. And if you go to the marketplace, you can actually get another look at all of the spaces, not just the featured ones. And you can just continue scrolling and see just some of the most amazing work built by this next generation of metaverse architects. Okay, so I'll jump back now so we can start to explore some of the Tom Sachs Rocket Factory, because these planets are incredible. I'll choose the first one, Krypton Prime. And so we're just going to click enter space. And it is going to just do just that. It'll send us straight into the Monaverse.
Yeah, I love, just to echo what we were talking about before, how easy it is just to kind of tinker and explore and then jump into building too, which is nice.
Yeah. So as you can see, again, just straight from the web browser, I'm immediately now in this incredible immersive world from Tom Sachs Rocket Factory. You'll see I have my own little 3D avatar. This avatar was actually made by an amazing creator in our community named Archamisha. I'm not currently logged in, but if I were logged in, you would actually see my name above me, not just get 0. You have a little list to show if anyone else is in the space with you. You could text chat, all of the things that I think you'd expect from a virtual world platform. But, some people may not be as accustomed to it, which is why I run through it. But yeah, so now we can actually just start exploring. So I'm just on my laptop here using WASD to move around. I can hold down shift to run, spacebar to jump. And now I'm running around the metaverse in this amazing 3D planet. In the distance, you have like a comet that's a shooting star falling from the sky. I can go climb this mountain over here. There's just an incredible landscape. And again, no two of these planets are alike. So we can jump through a few of these here, but yeah, very cool. It's just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks like Tom has his priorities set. He's got a Army Jeep, McDonald's, and a vintage Porsche 911, which is all good.
Yeah. I'm glad you caught those. Yeah. He's, I think those are part of some of the stuff collection. It looks like they've pre-decorated the space. We could jump back down there again. There's even, it looks like some sort of like, is that the Pentagon? I feel like that's the Pentagon out there.
Oh, wow. It is.
But yeah, again, it's just incredible that this is all running in the browser and you see the scale of this space. I mean, it's really incredible. Yeah, we could just run down here really briefly and check out the McDonald's, for example.
Yep.
And then we'll jump over and check out some other worlds. Yeah. So he's got the full McDonald's here. Oh yeah, he's got the incredible. He's got the Porsche with the boot on the tire.
Yeah, it's totally cool.
The Jeep. Yeah.
Jeep.
Okay,
yeah.
So I'll jump back now. What's great about Mona 2 is you can actually connect worlds with portals. So you could jump seamlessly from world to world. It looks like there aren't many. I'm not sure. It's an optional feature for folks to integrate. So not every world has portals in them. But yeah, that's another really fun feature. I can demonstrate that in another world. But for now, we'll jump into another Tom Sachs planet. So yeah, so as you can see, this is just wildly different. The first one was, more photorealistic, felt very natural. And then now we're in just like a completely different dimension,
Tron.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
and
cool.
Yeah, it's like a crazy Tron world, and you have these like interesting, green wireframe objects scattered about. Looks like some more buildings in the distance. Just to give you a sense of just the scale and what's possible stylistically as well. We also have little emotes and dances if you wanted to, express yourself. So those are some spaces from Tom Sachs, and there's just a number of others. I can keep jumping through, and we can continue chatting if you want.
That's a great idea. And I like the idea. The portal idea is really what we were talking about as far as the connected tissue between the worlds.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think the metaverse needs portals. So this is another example. We're just getting so far down that spectrum of what is possible stylistically. What's great about Mona is that we are not opinionated in terms of what the visual aesthetics should be. Truly, to build an open metaverse, I think you need to give creators and developers the tools and flexibility to build whatever they want in whatever style they want. And so that's why
Mm.
you have like this just a really rich and amazing combination of different visual styles, photoreal, super like stylized, and even like a very 2D illustrative feeling with these worlds and planets. And just to go and illustrate this a bit more, we can jump back, and I want to jump into one of another one of my favorite spaces. Let me see if I can find it. But just to go even further down the spectrum of like photoreal, there's this an amazing space called JPEG Land, which again is on the scale of some of the Tom Sachs Rocket Factory planets. But this one just really pushes what you can do in terms of creating a realistic experience in the web browser.
Yeah, and now I know online there are tons of like tutorial videos to help people get started in building. Are you using it uses Unreal Engine or Unity?
Yeah, so great question. Yes, we have plenty of docs and tutorials. If you go to docs.monaverse.com or the Monaverse YouTube channel, we publish all of our tutorials and content there. We also host workshops and things regularly in our community to help people build. But Mona is actually built, the experience itself of loading the spaces in the browser that we're seeing here is actually built on Unity because we're targeting WebGL.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, so the actual rendering experience is Unity based.
Very cool. And I like again, I like that you could just jump in and explore.
Yep.
And from a creative aspect, I knew it's not all polygons. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be
Nope.
hyper rendered. To your point, it could be 2D illustrations, which I thought was great, and I'm glad you brought that up because people are like, "Oh, I'm not a 3D artist. I'm not this or that." It's like, well, getting the world started is not really that hard. And then if you're a 2D artist, you can actually showcase your style in the way you
Yep.
want it to be. And then you kind of now bend your mind into an e-commerce type of situation or a shopping situation. And now you really could set a stage, a scene, a movie within a
Yes.
shopping experience, which is totally cool. And that's what
Absolutely.
everyone wants, right?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. It's really these spaces are just like the next evolution of the web page, and they really can be anything you want them to be. We have people who are building games. We have people who build art galleries. We have some people who are building shopping experiences, retail, e-commerce experiences. Yeah, that's the beauty of this, and the beauty of the metaverse is this can really be this next destination for any of those behaviors and activities that we're seeing across the internet today.
Yeah, really cool. And it's very exciting to see it actually happening in front of your eyes, and I think that's an important
Yeah.
point. Now, Justin, you and I have spoken about the differences between millennials, Gen Z, and now Alpha. Um, the difference between digital natives and VR natives. Who
Yeah.
is the core audience? And I know you have some really great perspectives on this. Who's the core audience for Mona?
Yeah, it's a great question. For Mona, we are really creator and developer first. But really, the metaverse is going to be for everyone and anyone. That really starts with creating a really rich set of environments, worlds, avatars, objects, assets that people can use across these different worlds in these different ways, and bring your assets with you from world to world, platform to platform, game to game, app to app. So for us, it really starts with creators who are building 3D assets, 3D artists, game designers, architects, and then it continues with developers, game developers who want to build their own games and apps and experiences using these cross-platform assets, and then players and users who want to explore these worlds and have fun social experiences, or even set up their own world from templates. So really, it is for everyone. We're really excited by the future for this, as you mentioned and alluded to. With Gen Alpha, we have this entire generation that is growing up to be what we're really considering metaverse native.
Mm.
With kids, today. spending hours and hours every day playing with their friends in these virtual worlds, they're just going to understand on just an entire different level the value of digital assets and what that carries, and wanting to flex your digital assets across different games and play games and trade assets with friends. And so we're very much looking forward to that future of that future generation. And today we're just meeting users where they're at, where it's a lot of fun to be able to build these worlds, build these experiences, and then jump in and invite your friends and family to connect, no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah. And it's a tricky dilemma for people in immersive technology or advanced technologies for that matter to understand where people are going to be. But we really do, if you peel back the layers of technology history, we kind of know where things are going. People are digital native who grew up with an iPad, this, that, and the other thing. Gaming, for that matter, has been around forever. And it's interesting to see as this next generation, literally the hardware becomes a little bit more accessible. You start to see headsets or augmented or spatial computing devices in schools more. They're used in, for education, whether you're studying to be a doctor or a scientist or whatever you may be, or construction for that matter, which I think is one of the actual first use cases for it in the real world. It's there to aid, and it's a wonderful thing. And I think it's just, it's going to explode. What I would love to kind of dig into is the idea, and you and I talked a little bit about this. I talked to tons of people on the Web3 kind of economy space or the DeFi space. And right now at the gold rush is, it's not about, it's not all about acquiring tokens. That's important, yes. But it is about digitizing assets, right? And asset management for that matter, right? Which I don't know if your head's in that space just yet, but and ownership of your assets. And how can you break down the idea of self-sovereign ownership and digital assets within your world?
Yeah, absolutely. For us, this is why Mona is a blockchain-based company. I do believe, and everything that we're building and what we believe, it really is that blockchain is required to fulfill this vision of a truly open metaverse. So the notion of users actually owning their data, owning your social graph, owning your digital assets, true ownership over this, over your assets is just so vital for the success of this. A great comparison, and many people don't realize, is, today you can purchase assets in various games. You can purchase avatars, game skins, gun skins, things like that. But the reality is you don't have true ownership over those things you're purchasing. Those assets are stored on those companies' centralized servers. And even though you're spending money on it and you can use it within those games, you are not able to actually take those assets out of those games. You can't use them anywhere else. You don't even have access to the data outside of the game you're playing. So you don't really have ownership over that. This is one of the ways that blockchain is so vital to the success of not just the metaverse, but the internet and the future of digital asset ownership overall, is because blockchain actually provides users not just with a permissionless way to contribute and create, but it provides users with the ability to actually authenticate the assets that they own on an open public ledger that is immutable, that no one can hack. And so you don't have to worry about if a game that you're spending all this time and money grinding in, if that studio decides to just continue the game, or if the studio is hacked and their assets get affected by it, you don't have to worry about this because you have at any given point, the availability of the asset. And because of the decentralized nature of blockchain, it makes it much more secure than just purchasing an asset and leaving it to a third party to manage your assets and not really give you the ability to use them anywhere else. And so for Mona, that's why we provide creators and developers with the ability to actually tokenize the assets that they're creating as well. So all of the worlds that we just jumped through together on monaverse.com, those are all actually tokenized as one-of-one NFTs. And so you could now take that world, if you own it, and bring it with you somewhere else and use it in another game, another platform. Same with the avatars. Those are all NFTs. The objects that you can use within the worlds are NFTs as well. And that really gives you the composability to be able to build many new types of experiences using these assets. But really, as a user, you have the freedom and flexibility to use your assets wherever you want, within Mona or outside of Mona as well. And we think this is really, really valuable and just vital for the success of the open metaverse.
Yeah, and it brings up, Justin, it brings up so many really important topics that last message you just gave. IP, ownership of your IP, your assets, actually tokenizing them, trading, collecting, all of this stuff requires not only open source on the back end, but it requires an open philosophy. The idea of just letting people share and merge and purge and do whatever they want, really, within reason, obviously. Right. I think this is a big issue that many industries, not just AR, VR industries, are going to face. It's every technology industry that's going to go through it, whether you're Apple or Microsoft or whoever you are. You have to start to loosen those walls up a little bit, let people in, let them build, destroy, wreck it, rebuild it. That's what art is, right? You take something that you destroy it, you synthesize it, and you rebuild it, or it's reborn somewhere else. So I think these are real deep questions, and perhaps you and I can kind of geek out on another podcast about that stuff.
Would love to.
Yeah. And I might just do a roundtable with some VR folks.
Oh, that'd be great.
And do something really interesting, because there are big topics. There are big topics in crypto right now. There's giant topics in law and infrastructure and everything else. This is a part of it, and AI, of course. Obviously, there's giant existential questions and ponderings around that. But now, from a tools perspective, you guys offer like open tools and infrastructure for creators. Can you give us a little bit more about the mechanics of that and how it works and how people have been using it lately?
Yeah, absolutely. So through Mona, we give creators the opportunity to build 3D assets in whatever program they prefer. So many creators are authoring 3D assets using Blender, Maya, Cinema 4D, in virtual reality using Quill and Tiltbrush. And then basically they're able to, through Mona, through the website, upload those assets, upload those objects, and then they have the opportunity to tokenize them as NFTs. And these could be one-of-one NFTs, they could be editioned NFTs. And via uploading through the website, you're actually effectively decentralizing the file as well. So we, Protocol Labs is a great partner of ours. And so we use IPFS, which is basically decentralized file storage, to actually store and maintain all of the files. And so for everything the creators are building, you can rest assured that they're not just locked on some centralized server somewhere, but they are actually truly decentralized. And so that's that first step towards giving creators full ownership over their work, and then eventually transferring that ownership to a user who can purchase it. So once a creator has tokenized these objects, they could be avatars, spaces, 3D objects. They become available through the Mona marketplace, where creators or collectors are able to buy and sell their assets. You can log in, and have access to all your collectibles there. You can see what you have through the marketplace. As you saw earlier, you could jump into any of the worlds, start interacting with avatars. We also have a great web AR feature that's available today, where you can start to drop avatars into your environment. And as we were chatting about earlier, you'll be able to interact with all of your assets via Apple Vision Pro. very soon, and Quest soon after, the Oculus Quest soon after as well. So yeah, that's really the first step is giving creators the ability to tokenize 3D assets from any platform they're making. We also have a Unity SDK today. So if you wanted to build an immersive world or something that's more interactive, you have access to the full suite of tools that are available in the Unity game engine. And so creators can just use our Unity SDK to create a fully interactive immersive world as well. You could build a racing game, a basketball shooting game, really, the sky's the limit. And so it's a very similar process. Just from the SDK, you can export and upload to the Mona website and have your asset available to explore all through the web. I should mention this is all free, so we don't charge creators, developers, anything. It's completely free to build in the metaverse. And then, as we were discussing earlier, very soon you'll be able to explore all these assets or via Apple Vision Pro as well. And we also have our cross-platform SDK that we're onboarding developers to right now. And so this will be the last bit that I'm really excited to chat about. Not only are we building the first dedicated marketplace for cross-platform interoperable 3D assets, but we also have a really fantastic SDK that is going to be available so that developers can start to bridge to any of these assets that are decentralized, essentially solving that issue of interoperability. And so the idea is that if you're building an app or a game, if you currently have a platform, you can integrate this and it'll give you access to all of these cross-platform assets that users can use through your app. Or if you're building a new app, you can integrate the SDK and give users the ability to bring their assets with them into your game as well. And there's going to be some incentive there for developers and for users to bring their assets over. And so, today we're actually signing up developers for early access to start, checking this out and help give some good feedback for the tool for this tool. So yeah, if anyone's listening and wants to check it out, just get in touch. But really, as you said, coming back to your original question, it starts with this open tooling that really gives developers the freedom and flexibility to build whatever they want, accessing these really composable assets that can be used in different games and apps.
Wow, what very, very robust tools like on your end of things, and all for free. Amazing, because usually some of these worlds or platforms, they kind of nickel you every 5 minutes. A pay as you play. So that's great. Get people started. And there was so much information in there, Justin, that we could kind of unpack for days on it. But
for sure,
from the tool section and kind of the NFT section, you brought up one thing. It was small, but I think very important. The storage of NFTs. People don't realize when you mint on OpenSea, your assets, your graphics, your videos, your audio, they go to some other server somewhere, and then it's up to you to maintain that agreement or there's care and feeding that goes into it, which most people don't realize. It's just minting it. But it seems like you're kind of figuring out a system on how to keep it all decentralized and kind of legit and accessible, if you will, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, when you're minting, right? So I can mint either a full world, I can mint a jacket, sneakers, whatever swag I've got or items I've got. What networks are you using? How are gas fees processed? I mean, not to go too much into it, but
sure, yeah. So there's a number of different chains today, and even more being built. Many are EVM compatible. Others are their own L1s. Basically, today through Mona, you can mint on Ethereum and also on Polygon. Cool. Gas fees are they definitely fluctuate depending on the network traffic. Polygon consistently has the very, very low gas fees, and so we're happy to give creators the choice of both options depending on their goals there. And we are looking into integrating with other chains as well. We're very excited by what Optimism is doing, Base, Solana, Tezos, and so we're looking to integrate there. And we're really, really excited for that.
Yeah, all really good points. And this is important for people, jumping in, because ultimately you're going to make a commitment to Mona and the Mona tool set and the ecosystem, although it's very open and fair, like liberated, if you will. You still have to make from an artist or an architecture standpoint, you have to figure out what you want to invest in. And to me, part of that, a big part of it is, okay, what networks are they using? What are the gas fees and all that stuff? So that's great that you guys are partnering with some of the big boys out there that have lighter fees and are very easy to operate on. Polygon is phenomenal. Now, jumping back to the marketplace, because I think this is again, this has legs and a life of its own, basically, right? Can you fill us in a little bit more about kind of how the places work, what we can expect from it, and the ease of use?
Yeah. So through monaverse.com, you can actually check out the marketplace today and explore any of the thousands of immersive worlds, avatars, objects that are available. And we have creators who are minting new ones every day. Essentially, we're really excited because, I feel like many marketplaces are geared for like every type of asset that is, tokenized. And for us, we're really, really thrilled to elevate 3D creators, game designers, folks who are actually building this immersive future that we're all going to live in. And so we really, through the marketplace, seek to, create a really great way for collectors, anyone to discover, the world's best 3D assets that are tokenized. And so we're really thrilled to offer this experience through through our web app.
Awesome. Yeah. So it's a complete place for you to kind of get started. Either if you're a passive user or you're a builder, jump in. It's a really exciting place. And then, that's where commerce takes place. That's where trading takes place. Maybe there's auctions down the road. Who knows? Now, when we talk about virtual worlds, we can't ignore AI, right? And it is, it's almost like every conversation around, AR, VR, or spatial computing, AI comes up. How are you guys implementing or using AI within Mona?
Yeah, we're really excited for AI to be implemented at the creator level. I think, one of the most exciting aspects about AI is just the way that it can accelerate the workflow for creators and developers. And so for us, we're seeking to integrate AI in a number of ways that helps to just make the process of world building creation easier for folks. I think there are also a number of AI tools out there that will enhance the end user experience. And so we're looking to integrate with those as well. With our open SDK and tooling for cross platform assets. Just seeing the different types of experiences that can be built that are driven by AI, I think is going to be really exciting. We're primarily looking at integrating AI at the creator and tooling layer. And then I'm sure that there are going to be just a number of experiences soon enough that are going to be fully generated by AI in terms of like interacting with avatars and different experiences across the metaverse. AI, like every other industry, is just going to revolutionize everything. So we're excited to find ways that we can leverage it that can best serve our users.
Yeah, and I see AI in this particular application in kind of two buckets. One is kind of the utility, help an artist actually generate more than what they need, and then there's the experience end of it, right? Because you and I have talked. 3D worlds are very, they're time consuming. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are. They're time consuming. So, for example, I had a friend on the podcast a while back, and he was working on something called Shaderverse, and Shaderverse allowed you to basically generate off of one NFT, generate a collection of 1,000 using AI to change colors over time, line work, thickness, density, bump mapping. You can kind of do all of this cool stuff through AI and generate a collection that is all unique, which is really interesting. And then
Very
you've got
interesting.
then you have the experiential end of it, where you may come to a world and, you know, I don't want people. I know brands that are trying to kind of crack the ice, this spatial computing ice, if you will. They're setting up AI concierge because they don't want people to come to an
Yep.
empty store. Or there's people milling about a gallery showing interest, and maybe you can talk art with a bot or a human being. It just adds to the whole excitement, which is really, really cool. Great.
I should also mention we're going to be working with, or we are working with a really great AI partner today called Atlas, and they've actually been building some Mona spaces just entirely using their AI algorithm, text and image to 3D, basically to immersive worlds. So excited for that, and we'll definitely have some more things that we'll be able to share soon on that partnership.
Yeah, definitely want to hear more about that. And I think Tom, your featured artist, is he using AI to help generate some of these pretty vast worlds that he's creating?
No, so the Tom Sachs, those are actually all handmade, believe it or not.
Wow.
So that's also what's really remarkable about that project from Tom Sachs Rocket Factory is just the 1,000 handmade, unique, immersive spaces. That's even before AI.
Wow. Yeah, his work was very, I would say, organic, and it felt kind of like, it could have a life of its own, whereas a lot of other 3D worlds are fairly cookie cutter and hyper polished, if you will.
Yeah.
So really, really great work from Tom and Mona. So now a little bit, this might be a little loaded, but you might be dialed in on all of this, but what does the next year hold for VR? What are your predictions? What does the road look like?
I love this question. I think the next year for VR, I'm really, really excited by Apple's release of the Apple Vision Pro. I think they entered the market at a really great time with a really high quality first version of their headset and hardware. Definitely, some bugs there, but overall, I'm just so impressed with it that I actually think that this is going to catalyze a lot more interest around VR, AR, spatial computing. We just need more apps. And so I think we're at a moment where, very similar to when the iPhone was first released, I think, as more developers get interested in this and, with everything that we're doing, as we, provide developers with more assets to build some of these amazing apps, games, experiences, I think we're just going to start to get this really, really rich store and feature set of different things that people can do with the device. And so over the next year, I anticipate more people trying it out, getting interested in the space. I think you also have obviously Meta and Quest. They're working on their next iteration, their next Quest device. The Quest 3 is super, super impressive at a really great price point. And gosh, that store is just so full of games and things to do. And is a really great entry point into VR and AR if you don't, or if you can't get access to an Apple Vision Pro. And so I predict for the next year that we're just going to we'll continue to see an increase in adoption for VR, AR, spatial computing. I'm really excited about the intersection between blockchain and spatial computing, which is what we're working on with Apple Vision Pro. So thrilled for our app and web experiences to be released very soon. I just anticipate that adoption will continue to grow as the developer pool increases and as the number of apps built increase as well.
Yeah, and I'll have to agree with you on Apple. It's a little the barrier to entry, mainly from a cost perspective, is a little challenging, but it's really not made for everyone just yet, right? You got to imagine this is Gen 1. It's hyper expensive, so only the devs are basically going to really, the majority of people getting it are devs building for this because they see a future for it. But, in true Apple fashion, they're showing us the way in the sense of, hey, man, everything's good, jump in.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So to me, It's adoption. it is an important thing. Whether you love Apple or not, it is important. And, you're going to see traditional VR hardware and software companies kind of almost lean their way too,
Yep.
and it's not all immersive VR gaming, but it may be utility driven applications that you can use in a seamless AR version of the application. So I think there's
Yep.
definitely people are, both groups are going to lean into each other, and obviously gaming is kind of the impetus or the genesis of a lot of great ideas and technology and psychology and everything else. So that's awesome. I'm curious, when do you think the metaverse, right, will reach saturation, meaning, or, get over that curve, that adoption curve, and go into kind of cruise control? When do you think that might happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's going to continue to happen gradually. I don't think that there's necessarily going to be a day when we wake up and we're just going to be everyone's in the metaverse,
Right.
and like we'll reach mass adoption. I think we're starting to see it. We're seeing this next generation coming up, spending hours and hours a day. Hundreds of millions of users spending hours a day inside of virtual worlds. I think with the, I don't think that you necessarily need hardware for the metaverse to be successful. I do think it's going to be a major component of it. But I do think that as hardware gets better, as people have more access to really high quality devices to explore beautiful immersive worlds and games and, apps experiences, as we can do more with our virtual identities and avatars, I think we're just going to continue to see a gradual increase of adoption. And as it's sort of like a giant flywheel, and I think network effects are really important here. Whereas, like, as more and more people spend more time in virtual worlds, more of their friends and people they know will spend more time in effect. And over time, we'll just continue to reach this growth curve of people spending more time in virtual worlds together. So, it's going to be a gradual thing that happens, I'd say, over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, totally agree. It's gonna build speed, but it's not, like you said, it's not going to be this giant wall of like, wow, everyone's in it. I also think from a hardware perspective and a software perspective as well, they're going to be other satellite companies not making headsets, but making like sensory peripherals, heat, maybe smell, or, I know Disney's working on that beautiful floor tiles they're working
I love
on.
that. Yep.
Multi-directional walking, and, that all of that too will pull people in, because if I could walk in VR and work and or game and or socialize,
Yep.
that's to me is a real shift. Now
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm not plunked into a gaming seat for 10 hours. I can actually walk around the block. I could, it just opens up my mind to a lot of different things, both physically and digitally, but really awesome. Now, Justin, I always like to kind of dig into what teams look like, right? Because, I may be a young aspiring 3D artist that, wants to follow Justin's lead, start a company, get involved in the industry itself. What do your teams look like?
Yeah. Well, I would say that there's no better time than today. If you're entrepreneurial and you want to start a company, the best way to do it is just by trying it. Come up with a very small proof of concept, talk to as many users, as many people as you can, and try to prove and validate that your idea has value and that people want it, and hopefully want to pay money for it. Today with AI, with various tools, it is just the best time for anyone to try to start their own company. It is super cheap and costs you virtually nothing to try it. And so I encourage, if you're interested, I encourage anyone to really go and try to do it. From our perspective, for our team, we are post Series A, so we raised our Series A in May of 2022, and we are still a really small and nimble team. We're less than 20. We're a fully global, remote team, comprised of some of the world's best engineers, some of the best marketing folks. Just really, I love working with our team day in and day out. Really, the best people around the world. From cities, not just in the US, like New York and, across different states in California and Florida, but also internationally in the UK, in Spain, in Japan, New Zealand. So we're a fully global remote team, which is just so exciting. And many of the folks that we employ on our team, they're from Unity, they're from Amazon Games. They're from Microsoft. And so we're working with just the best of the best to try to build out this vision for the open metaverse. And it's a really, really thrilling journey.
Beautiful. Yes, it's not quantity, it's quality, right? It's amazing.
Absolutely.
It's amazing what you can do with a small, very focused and dedicated team with the right background, right? So it seems like you've really fashioned a spectacular global team. So kudos, and that's awesome. People always love to know what the landscape, the human capital landscape looks like too. Perfect. Okay, so as we wrap up, Justin, just a little bit, do you have any conferences coming up, or you have any speaking engagements where our audience might be able to check you out?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll actually be at NFT NYC next week, April 3rd through April 5th. Mona will have a booth there where you'll be able to try out some things, which will be a lot of fun. You may even have the opportunity to claim some Metaverse NFTs. And so that'll be exciting. That's coming up next week. And I'll also be speaking there. I'll be speaking on two different panels. So looking forward to that. And then we have some other things coming up later in the year. There's Consensus, ETHCC. I think I'm probably leaving a few things out. And we're also going to be hosting a number of game jams and hackathons as well. But NFT NYC will be the next one for us.
Awesome. Yeah, I should be there, hopefully.
Amazing.
If I am, I'll drop you a line and we'll do a little something on the side.
Let's do it. Yeah, we'd love to see you.
Yeah, I'll let you know my schedule there. Awesome. So where can we find you? Monaverse.com. Any other places we can hit you up?
Absolutely. Monaverse.com is the best place. You can also follow us on Twitter at Monaverse, on Instagram at Monaverse. We're also on Farcaster at Monaverse as well. And then if you want to get in touch with me, I'm also on Twitter at Justin M. Malillo. That's probably the best way to reach out, or via email, justin@monaverse.com.
Awesome. Justin, we are just kind of opening, us for Web3 Unpacked, but VR, AR Unpacked is really starting to pick up steam. And this is one of our first episodes for it. So thank you so much for kind of leading the way with us. It's really awesome. And we expect to have many, many more smart and interesting guests like Justin on for our audience, and keep learning and pushing and experimenting within this world with you. So Justin, thank you so much. We really look forward to having you back, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you so much, Richard. This is a lot of fun, and really appreciate your time and having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely.